Good evening, folks. Should say good evening. It's like 1 in the afternoon. But yeah, good afternoon. So, just going to do a trade breakdown of my buy I took today on pound yen. Um, and kind of just discuss the earlier option, which was an option, but I didn't get involved in that option. Um, Now let me just have a look at the chart. Okay, so this is where we are. The two candles leading into my session from the daily close are bullish, so I'm looking for buys. And kind of like how I mentioned on my previous video from my sale yesterday, where I sold here and was targeting here, but I closed out here based on these levels and this sort of price action stalling in here. And I mentioned how that could have potentially been where we found support to do this, because overall we are moving up in the market, and we're bullish. So it's kind of interesting to see how when we did find support with this bright green candle and we closed above the previous and we closed above the support, how we pulled back into that, held support, and then continued. So now, kind of like how yesterday and that structure was, or price movement was on the way down. Now the structure has changed back to the upside with the break of this resistance, sort of invalidating the sort of downside movement, and now we're back above, and the structure is supports, higher resistances in line with sort of the 4-hour price action and the sort of trend. So when I seen this, I was like, buys make more sense. I'm looking for buys today. However, where is price? Price is closed within my no trade range, right? Kind of like how yesterday I was trading below. Today I was thinking, well, I want to be trading above, either above here, which gives me sort of like a clean sort of candle here to potentially mirror, or if we maybe start to pull back and then we start to form a support higher than this and we start to leave this zone, I could look to get in trades here and look to buy that up. So what I was thinking, just to kind of elaborate on that a little bit more, potentially volume pushes, maybe like impulse trades, trying to catch the volume, or let price, maybe push out, form a target, then pull back in, leave this zone, and then target to target. So if I just go to the 30-minute chart, this is 6 o'clock. So this is the first candle of the new 4-hour, right? And if I just skip through, we had this candle here, right? So this is from 7 to half 7. So when this candle closed, it's half 7, right? Now, if I just skip to the 4-hour a second, I had I believe at the time I had a 4-hour support level in here, or it may have been, let me just double check this. No, it was actually here. Where are we? Yeah. So I believe I had this support in here at the time, right? So if I just zoom in there, let me see, right? So if I just skip to the 30-minute, yeah, right. So at the time, like, this 4-hour level was on my chart, right? And I'm just going to mark this up as a 4-hour support, because that's what it was, right? Now, as we can kind of see, if we look at this level here across the board, it isn't really that relevant to me, on the basis that we've kind of moved through it cleanly. We've kind of closed above, pulled back, and then pushed from it. We've kind of worked into it here. We've closed below here. Now, if I look at this maybe on the 1-hour, it's a little bit more relative to the 1-hour supports in here, like this recent structure, this sort of recent range, right? So if I even drop the 30-minute chart, we can kind of see how it kind of is a bit significant on this time frame as well, in terms of supports, resistance, and kind of supports here and supports here and stuff. So it is a level of interest sort of on the 30-minute chart and so on, and it is obviously based off this 4 hour and this sort of swing, right? Now makes sense on this time frame here, not so much here, a little bit here, but obviously like I showed there, as we go down the time frames, it becomes a little bit more relevant on those time frames. So this morning I seen this close, right? And I said to myself, are you going to get involved in this? And I decided not to. Now, the reason I decided not to, um, well, let's talk about the reasons why you could get involved in this, okay? At the end of the day, we have our bullish bias, right? We have pulled back in. This candle has engulfed all the previous candles here recently during the Asian session. We are above the most recent 30-minute resistance. We are above the 4 hour zone, which is the no trade range for me. And if we look left, we have this clean candle to potentially mirror, or this upper half. So if you took a trade here, stops below here, and targeted this, that would give me roughly about a 0.5% as far as I'm aware, because how do we look at it earlier? So the way I'm closing out my trades for like 0.5 and things like that, you could say it does make sense, right? Or it is an option, okay? And don't get me wrong, it is an option, and it's one that potentially I should have taken, because as well as that, this candle is, if I just look at the size of this candle is 36 pips, and then there was also another 15 on the end of that, so it was about a 50 pip candle all in all in terms of how far it moved. So there's definitely volume in the market, right? And if we skip through one more candle, we can see we did get the another continuation, another push, which was another candle which was basically the size of 30 pips there, and it easily tapped into that target. So if this could have been an easy trade to here, right? 0.5%, job done and dusted, no real drawdown, easy as that, right? But the reason I didn't get involved in this trade was because we basically closed bang on the support. Now, yes, we closed above it, right? Literally like not even a pip, or just roughly a pip. But the reason I didn't get involved in this was because of my past experiences with trading so close to higher time frame levels. Like typically, if a candle closes, say we disregard all levels, for example, and this 30-minute candle closed like here, right? Say, for example, we have a candle which closes, let me just draw it here. Just say the candle closed like here, right? So I know, say, between this candle close and this 4 hour level, it's about 10 pips. Usually I'll take those trades because there's enough room there for me to see how we react. But because we literally close like bang on it just above, and this like sort of candle already had sort of kind of tapped into towards the target, I wasn't comfortable taking that. And it's just because usually, like, obviously I've got gained more experience in my trading and learned from my mistakes and things like that with these types of setups, and I don't take these anymore. And I sort of, depending on the gap between my target and or my entry and the level, if there's enough room there, I'll give it a go, because if we were going to get, say, like a push, I've got enough sort of breathing room to make a decision if we start to react at that level. And that was basically the main reason, is just because usually in the past where we close on or just before a level, excuse me, I'll enter it and we'll just get an automatic rejection from that level, right? And it's probably, sometimes it's maybe me unaware of such a higher time frame level. So I didn't take this trade, right? So I said to myself, I looked at this closed, and I was like, okay, right, there was an opportunity, you know, it could have rejected, it could have not, but what did happen? Well, what happened was we moved to the target. So I was like, right, that would have been the next target based on the 30-minute. That's cool. So I said to myself, well, do you know what, Ken? That was one of the options. The second option was to wait for a target. So what I done was I waited for a target to be created. And as you can see, London Open happened. London opened and it pushed up a good bit here. It pushed up there 25 pips, and then we reacted, and we started to come down. Now I was looking at this on the 1 hour chart, and I was saying, well, we have resistance here. We're sort of trading into this range. We have already tapped into the top of it, so we've achieved target. So is this reaction and rejection just based off of this 1 hour resistance? Um, and our bias is bullish. So just because our bias is bullish and we get volume, we don't always have to continue in one direction without stopping. And to be fair, price did move 25 pips and then it came back. So what I said to myself was, well, do you know what? Now this 1 hour's closed. If this support holds, this is going to be my target, right? So I'm no longer looking at this. All I'm focusing on is this, right? Because this is what's most recent. This is what I'm paying attention to. We're moving up the market. We've pulled back from the support. We've broke resistance, formed a new target, pulled back the previous structure. So all I need to do is, as long as we can hold support above this, then I could potentially look to capitalize on a trade and target the target. So I was looking at this and I was saying, well, do you know what? If I was just to say, for example, enter a trade on if we went here to here to here, well, that's going to give me a 1-to-1. So I'm like, before price even forms its support, I'm thinking to myself, well, if we hold here and we don't breach, beyond this level, and we start to form a support, and we start to leave, I could get in above my no trade range, target the target, and it gives me at least 1%. So if I just skip to the 30-minute time frame, and I skip, we kind of play about in here, and we breach the support, but we don't close below. So as long, like, we're feeling to break down, we're also feeling to break up, but we're not breaking down, and we're overall bullish. Bass is bullish. So I'm saying to myself, well, it still makes more sense to buy. Next candle closes here below the support. Next candle forms a support. So looking at this is 10:30 to 11. So this is how the 1 hour closed. So on the 30-minute, yes, we broke structure in terms of we closed below support. But on the 1 hour, we haven't closed below. Okay, so I'm still looking at this as big rejection here, big rejection here. If we can like start breaking above this high, at the moment all we've been doing on the 15 and on the 30 is moving down. We're moving down, feeling to break up, moving down. So if we start to change structure and we start to break highs and we start to change structure back to the upside, then I want to get involved in that, because that to me is just a push, pull, push, just a bit of a deeper pullback, and then a continuation to target that in line with the bass, in line with structure and things like that. Now at this time, it's after my 4 hour candle, which, like, I would obviously typically trade between 6 and 10, but I've planned this, so this option could still happen. So you could say as well, like, look, Asian low and Asian high here, we're rejecting off these. Like, what about if you take a trade here and we reject here, right? That is a thing. But see what I'm trying to do here? I'm just trying to keep this as simple as possible. I'm not trying to overcomplicate things. At the end of the day, what we've done is we've broken out of structure, formed a target, we've pulled back to structure, formed a support, and we're breaking above outside of a no trade range. I'm hitting buy. if we were going to go down, why didn't we not break down when we were down here or down here or down here after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bearish candles, which is like 2.5 hours of downside? Like, why aren't we down here? So if we do get up here, I don't really expect price to be back down here, because I'm seeing that's the downside done, because at that time we're then bullish up here. So if I look at this on the 1 hour and I skip through, that's how the 1 hour closed. So what I done was, on the 15-minute time frame, or on the 30-minute time frame, this support had formed. So if we get a second candle which respects the support and closes above, then that is the support confirmed. So essentially you could take a buy here, right? Target to target, have your stops below the support or below the wicks, whatever you want, right? But again, this is a no trade range for me. So, you know, as much as we have formed the support and this looks like a perfect buy, it's just within my zone. So I don't want to be trading in here. And as you can see, we've got rejection here. So if we break above here, I decided I'm getting involved. So what I done was I actually entered a buy. And if I just bring on my trade from today, this is my buy. So I entered as we were breaking above. And again, what's happened is we've sort of reacted off that, and we actually closed down here. So technically, obviously, like I was saying before, the better entry was here. But again, there's no guarantee that when we start to break out of this zone that we're going to just continue straight away. You might reject back. But what I liked about when we started breaking this zone was we actually were breaking the current 4 hour high at that time, because this candle was the first 30 minutes of the 4 hour. So we had pushed down. This is the high here. So when we started to break the high and the structure had changed bullish again on the lower time frames, in line with the bias, in line with structure, it makes more sense to go this direction. So I took the buy, I put my stop below the support. This is how it looked like on the 1 hour. And what I done was I was just watching this on the 1 hour time frame, because it made a lot more sense to me just to watch it on this. It's a lot nicer to look at visually. So what happened was price had pushed up to here, 0.69. So what I done was I moved my stop loss to 0.5 to secure 0.5, and price pulled back, tapped me out for 0.5, and then we ended up closing down here. And if I just kind of bring this to my entry, if I go to the 30-minute, go to the next candle, what happened was we pulled back to the entry, and then we continued to the actual target. So the price did hit full target, and this is where price is at the moment. We can kind of see that we tapped into that resistance, which was nice. And then we continue to on the lower time frames. We can kind of see that we've formed a support, a previous structure, formed a resistance, failed to break down, broke above support, or broke above resistance, change in structure. Again, higher support, which was the entry, or no, apologies, it was the candle before that was the entry, but that sort of confirmed that, like, we're now above all this sort of shit. We've got a nice clean candle here. We could look to mirror that on the way up. So that was the sort of idea. So again, it did hit full targets. There's no need to try and push this, because this makes more sense from the triangle on the 1 hour. Essentially as well, like if you were looking at this just on the 1 hour, you could have said, well, when this 1 hour closes, I'm just going to go like this, go like this. There's a winning trade, you know? Like, my whole idea was I didn't get involved in this because I didn't like what I seen here. It did work out, brilliant, worked out, closed outside, formed this new target. So this is now the second option that I have to trade today based on my pre-analysis. We pull back into previous structure, and as soon as we start leaving this zone, I'm getting involved. And this is sort of something that we've seen, we've discussed it, the guys in the community know what Chris has been talking about, when sometimes you just need to pick an area, you know. This is the area you want to get in at, because the sort of the mood and the momentum we've been seeing lately, sometimes it doesn't give you the option to get involved on a close, you know. The option to get involved on the close was in here, but it was within my zone, which I'm not trading in. So as soon as we break here, as we can see, this candle, if I just remove this, um, as we can see, if we were waiting on a close, if I entered on the break here, and this candle pushed up 20 pips almost. So if I was waiting for a close outside that box, and say for example that candle didn't close, pull back where it did, and we closed up here, now, asking yourself, does that make sense to take this entry, to target this with stops below the candle or below the support? Like, that doesn't make sense. So yes, the candle did pull back and kind of did offer an opportunity on the 1 hour by entering here. However, there was no indication that we were going to get that pullback. We could have as much just closed up here or closed up here. So sometimes you just got to pick a place, get it involved, trust your analysis that what you're seeing and what price is doing is going in the direction of what you've analyzed. So that was my trade today. 0.5% yesterday. Reflecting on yesterday's trade, I could have potentially had 1.5%, and then today I could have had a 1%, which would have been a total of 2.5, and I've kind of come out of the back of those 2 days with just 1%. But that's fine. Profit is profit. This trade isn't sort of taken around the volume time, so you're unlikely to get those sort of sharp pushes that you do get, or those fast momentum pushes that you do get, those large ones at a time of volume. So I wasn't expecting to potentially this trade to come in so quickly. So if I was able to see momentum in the market, it might have, I might have then looked to manage it a little bit differently and just see if I can capitalize on the push. But as soon as we push 0.5, lock it in, and we come back, we're approaching resistance. So the management's working for me. It's good. But yeah, that's sort of my trade breakdown from today, my analysis. It did come after my trade time frame, but it was planned. Structure still made sense to take the trade. So yeah, I got involved in that today. So a win on that part for myself. But yeah, I think obviously the more efficient trade was the trade from from half seven to 8, which kind of, you would have been in and out very quickly with that one. But just due to that sort of 4 hour level and past experience with taking trades at levels so close to levels, just usually doesn't work out for myself. So, sitting and being patient, I was still able to get my opportunity today, which was good. So yeah, that's my trade breakdown from today. So appreciate you taking the time to watch, and of course, like and subscribe. Get me to 100 subscribers.